Formatting the research paper, APA style. Now in the follow-up video, we are going to be doing this APA style. The first video you saw was done MLA style, and you'll note the differences as we go along. Remember, you're using the W03C diet exercise document, which is seen on the right, and the formatting a research paper APA MLA documentation styles. Both documents are found on the course page. So let's begin. Now the APA documentation style requires that there is a separate paper that has the information such as the title and the author's name and even the institution are mentioned. But before we get to that, let's look at the basics: the style of the font, the size of the font, and the spacing. So just as was done before in that MLA video, we're going to select the text and we're going to change the size of the font to size 12, the style of the font to Times New Roman, and the line spacing to 2.0 for double spacing. Now while we're here, this also applies to the APA style, that the first line for each paragraph is indented, and recall the markers on the ruler. The first line indent marker, this is the one at the top, the hanging indent marker, and the final one below is the left indent, and way over here is the right indent. And if you're not sure where your rulers are, the View tab will have the checkbox for ruler. So we're simply going to be dragging the first line indent marker to the 0.5 mark on the ruler. That tells the software to indent every paragraph in the document. Now to the header. For the first page of the document, it should be different from all the other pages in this document. Now recall that the easiest way to get to the header is to double click in the header area. And for the APA style, it requires a different first page. So we need to now indicate, using this checkbox on the design tools for the header and footer tabs, a different first page. And when we do that, what's seen on page 1's header or footer will be different from what's seen on page 2 and down. So for the APA style, you have the heading, running head, with a colon, followed by the name of the research paper. In this case, it's effects of diet and exercise. That's on the left margin, and on the right margin is the page number. Similarly, page number button, current position, plain number. So how do we know what's different on page 2? This is page 1. Scroll down and you'll notice there's nothing in page 2 because we haven't added it yet. So what's the difference? On page 2 and onward, the difference is the words running head do not appear. So it's simply the title of the paper. As well as the page number, which will continue to number. And that's it for the header. So notice page 1 has running head, effects of diet and exercise, with the page number. And on page 2, effects of diet and exercise only, no running head, followed by the page number. Now what of the title of the paper? APA style wants a whole separate page for the title information. So I'm going to use the shortcut keys Control and Enter to send the body of the paper down so that we have space for page 1, which is our title page. This page should be centered using shortcut keys Control and E, and press Enter just to move the lines down a bit. On this page, you will have the name of the paper or the title of the paper, followed by the name of the student, and in this case I'm writing the paper, the name of the institution, and you have to spell it all out. Followed by the course, and this is the course code, and if this is the course CIS 116, that will be placed there, and the date, and let's say it's today. And that's it for the cover page. Can, make some adjustments to the paper, fixing my errors here. Now, after this, you'll notice that just before the body of the paper, and I'm scrolling down here in this second document, the instructional document, you'll notice they repeat the title of the paper just before the body of the paper begins. So let's do that. And that is centered as well. Now, because we have put in the citations before in the MLA style, we'll do just that in the APA style. But here's the twist. Because they exist already, we're simply going to be inserting them the easier way. But I'll show you the first one the hard way. Now, back to the same document with the instructions. Remember the sources? There were 2 books and 1 website. And the first one was inserted just after the word exercise. And remember, it's References tab, Insert Citation, Add New Source. And you would have proceeded to select the right type of source, indicated the authors, and put in the rest of the information pertaining to this author. The year, 2011, the city, the publisher, and the medium. And I'll fix my errors. And it says auto. Now, in order for you to see the fact that there's a difference in the styles, I'm going to the References tab, and this, notice it's set to MLA currently. I'm going to switch the styles to APA. Now notice in the APA style, it's not just the author, but it's the author and the year. And when we edit the citation according to the instructions to add page numbers, you'll notice it adds P.3 to represent page 3. And this is how the APA style would represent a citation. Now, the citations are already in the system, in that there is an area that you can go back and find the entire collection of citations that you may have entered before. Now, the button to do that is on the References tab in the Citations and Bibliographic group, and it's the Manage Sources button. Now, I have a few sources in there from before, so I can actually go back and look for the other 2 sources, and you'll notice they should be in the list. And here's one, and I simply copy it over to the other side. So notice there's a master list and a current list, and the other author, we'll put that one in as well. Trying to remember what it is. Right, so back in there again. Okay, it was the US Department of Health, and I copy both of them over. Now, how is this handy? Imagine you have written a paper and you might be reusing sources, so you may have entered them before for a previous paper. You can pull them forward again using the same method, go into the master list, find them and copy them over to the current list. And it means then that when I'm going to put in my second reference, which is here beside the word subsequently, when I go to insert citation, because they're now part of my current list, I can simply go and select it, and it joins the document. And I can go ahead and modify it just as I would have done before to put the pages, in this case is 195, and the software will do the rest. So let's do the last one because they already exist. Insert, and this one is US Department of Defense. So the three sources should now be in. The first one, which we entered manually, and the second one, and the third one, which were joined to the list by using the Manage Sources option. Now that these sources are in, we also have to create a separate page for the title, which is in this case references, and it also has to be centered. So unlike the MLA style, which has works cited, the APA style has references as its title. Send an insertion point back to the left margin. Similarly, references tab, bibliography group, insert bibliography. Now the difference is that there's a slight difference in the order in which the items may appear when seen in the APA style versus the MLA style. But we still have to do the line spacing because it's not double spaced, the size of the font, and the style of the font so that they match the document. So let's recap. The APA documentation style is slightly similar to the MLA documentation style in that the document has double-spaced paragraphs, size 12 times New Roman, the indentation of a half of an inch for each paragraph, that's the first line indent. Then the header and the page number is different in the APA style. For the APA style, there's a different first page, which begins running head, effects of diet and exercise, that's the title, that's left aligned, and the page number, right aligned. And on the subsequent pages, it just does not have the words running head, but it still has the title and the page numbers. The APA style has a different first page, and you have to find the different first page option when you go to the header and footer tab, the design tools for the header and footer tab, which gives you the options for different first page. And this you must check first before you actually proceed to edit the header. The title page. APA has a separate title page. It has the title of the document, the name of the author, in this case I'm writing the paper, the school, university, college, whatever it is, the course code, and the date. And this is centered on the document. The title of the paper is also seen just before the body of the paper begins. And just as was done in the MLA style, citations are entered using the option on the References tab, Insert Citation, and you would have added a new source. But I did show you that if you have sources previously used, you can choose them from the master list, click the copy button, and it joins the current list, and you are actually able to insert those citations in the appropriate spots. By the time you get to the end of the document, you'll create a new page called the References page. That's the APA style. And similarly, you go to the References tab, Citations and Bibliographic Group, click Bibliography and insert Bibliography. And we still had to do the double spacing and the size of the font and the style of the font to be sure that they all match with the current style. And this is the APA style of writing research papers. So be sure to go through the document, and you have information for both styles, the MLA style, which is seen in a subsequent video, and the APA styles, both found on the course page.